See that? Has anyone ever told you, hey, you swing like a girl? Nice swing. Do they make it from men? Well, hopefully they have, because that's a compliment. And today I'm gonna teach you how to play like a girl, but not just any girl. Jin Young Ko, LPGA professional, former world #1. Let me just list off some of her accolades. Now you're thinking, yeah, she's a professional. She's very good. What can we learn from her? Well, I'm gonna tell you. Now, one of the most mind-blowing stats that Jin Young Ko holds is consecutive holes without a bogey. Guess how much? That's a lot of bogey-free holes. Tiger Woods held that record, and she conquered that. Now, of course, PGA, LPGA, yardage differences, blah, 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 blah. People say you can't compare them. I'm going to do it anyway. Now, what can we learn, you and I, as the average golfer, learn from Jin Young Ko? Well, looking through her interviews on her play style, let's break down some of the rules that she talks about amateurs can learn. If we're looking to avoid the bogey, where would the bogey come from? It would come from hitting it left. And it's just way right. So this is a good example of what we talk about with bogey avoidance. So I hit it to the right, which is fine, because that was the miss. So now with this miss, I still have a long way to go. So how do I get it back into a good spot? Can I get it over those trees? Probably. How reliable am I with those clubs? I don't know how I'm feeling today. So we're just gonna hit a 7-iron over those trees and get a wedge in our hand to get back. That was a little bit more than 3/4, I think, but it's still exactly what I wanted to do. Now, something that I gotta remember is with the 3/4 swing, it's not about hitting it shorter. It's about not losing your balance. She said amateurs should really work on maintaining your balance, and a 3/4 swing is the best way to do that. So with my game right now, it feels really good. I'm executing it exactly how I'm envisioning it. Like I said, I'm just leaving it short. So I gotta commit to the swing as opposed to only thinking about 3/4 swing, which I'm getting in my head. And I don't know my distances as well as my full swings, which is fine. We're learning, we're envisioning it, we're practicing it. I'm telling you how it feels. I'm gonna try to play a little fade off that left tree. Now that's a big fade off the right tree. Because I'm going to aim at the fat part of the green, but the flag is on the right. So if I fade it at all, it will be going towards the flag. And if I don't fade it, it'll be going towards the fat part of the green. So it's a win-win. If I played a draw, then I would be aiming right at the flag, hoping to draw it back onto the fat part of the green. And if I leave it there, well, I'd be going at the flag, potentially leaving myself short-sided. So with bogey and double bogey avoidance, it's really about how do I not leave myself short-sided when there's no, clear out of bounds areas. I sailed it. So you gotta remember that this is not about my performance today. It is about the potential performance of playing like Jin Young Ko. So regardless of how I shoot, if I shit the bed, if I score par, it's not about that. I'm going to grade how it feels to play this style. And that was a really good start. So we have about 140. So I'm gonna hit my pitching wedge, ideally a little bit past the flag, right at the flag, and just kind of go from there. Aim for the fat part of the green. You don't need to be pin hunting with this style. Oh, I pulled it, come back. Oh my God, golf is not a perfect game. We are not perfect players. We're gonna make mistakes, but this mistake wasn't too bad. So the big thing with bogey and double bogey avoidance is if you put yourself in a hazard, you gotta make sure to get out of it first try. At least that's the idea. See, that's why I didn't want to be too aggressive, and it still ran out quite far. I gotta remember these greens are slow as well. Great putt. Walk away with a bogey. Move on. The big thing is we make a mistake, we did not leave ourselves with another big mistake. So we're not that in such a bad position because you can have the two-way miss, and it's a par 5. So I have 210 left. The question is, can you get your 5-iron back in play over that tree? I don't think I have enough distance that I can. So it's not that I'm being overly aggressive, it's just, what can I get back into play? What's the most confident club you can hit without deluding yourself that you can actually hit it? And I just gotta remember, commit. Swing your normal swing, just don't be overly aggressive. But we're fine. It would be nice to make this to make up for the last hole, but you gotta remember, even when you have a birdie chance, you don't wanna be overly aggressive for these birdie chances. She doesn't speak about making birdie, she speaks about bogey avoidance. Everything else will come in time. And that's what we need. We need low hole avoidance for the average golfer. We don't need birdies. So I don't need to beat myself up to make this, or if I miss it, it's okay, get the par. This is where bogey avoidance really comes into play. We have 152 to the pin, but it's downhill. So you would think, all right, hit a pitching wedge because it's gonna take some yardage off, at least for me, my numbers, right? So I would hit my 145 club. However, the pin's in the front and there's water in the front. So your miss is long. So I'm going to aim for the fat part of the green and still try to hit it about 152, despite it being pretty downhill. Because if I try to get too cute with it, maybe hit a little bit fat, it's going in the water. If I hit this a little bit fat, it should still be around the pin, and the pin is in the front part of the green. And if I hit it too well it's gonna go over, but it's not gonna be in water. Whereas my 145 club, I would have to hit perfect, you know, to get it on there. I hit it to the left. I'm pulling everything, so I gotta take that into consideration today. And that's okay. We're safe. It's getting toasty out here. Don't try to get too cute, but we do wanna get it on the green, and we can try to get it on the pin. All right, that's fine. Ran out a little bit more than I thought, but that's okay. This is definitely a makeable putt. Oh, nice little up and down there. This hole is a good example of where I want to take previous information of how I'm playing today into this hole. I got a mosquito on my leg. So my miss with my driver has been left. Right now, when I'm playing a fade, my miss is far right. Where normally if I'm hitting my fade and I'm missing right, this hole, I would use my driver. But today, I'm missing it left. Left is out of bounds. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna club down. What's my next club that I feel confident with? Well, it's my 5-wood or my 4-iron. I think I could get my 5-wood into a good place. So I'm just gonna hit my 5-wood, aim it pretty much straight down the middle. I still pulled it a little left, but I think it's fine there because it's a little clearing. So this is why I did not want to hit driver, because I'm pulling everything today. Maybe I'm gonna change to a draw, but obviously a bigger miss to the left would be out of bounds. I just stayed in, so I'm going to, well, just hit. This tree is not a factor. We have about 150. I'm gonna aim for the front of the green. I think it should be on, it's to the left. The big thing about aiming with the fat part of the green is you need a good distance control with your putting, because you're gonna leave yourself with some long putts sometimes. Now the push fade comes out. So this is a good example of where double bogey and bogey avoidance comes into play. I got these trees sort of in my way. I can hit a big fade around this, but do I need to? Probably not. Instead, I'm just going to punch a shot out there, because if I try to hit a big fade and I hit the tree, well, now we gotta hit another shot. If I push it straight or pull it like I have been, then I'm probably gonna be out of bounds. So instead, I'm just gonna chip a 5-iron down there and try to get a wedge in my hand afterwards. Oh, you see that skip? It's running down there. That's long. Distance control and wedges need to work. The thing is, you and I, as the normal average golfer, are not gonna play like professionals all the time. So we're not gonna have perfect execution to follow our plan. And that's why testing these different episodes out is good to see which plans are easier to execute for us amateurs. And then from there, you can see which one works for you and try to play it. But there's a lot about this style that is good that I'm not executing well, but it feels good. I'll talk more about that in the grading part, but despite my poor play, and there are things that you can just adopt into your normal game. You don't have to play exactly like her. But for us, avoiding double and triple blow-up holes is kind of the main part about scoring well. For example, with this shot, being a little bit in between clubs, it's good to remember the 3/4 swing and the balance rule, because you want to aim, okay, well, where am I aiming? The pin's in the front, that's the red pin. So I'm going to be aiming for the fat part of the green, which is a little bit past the flag. I don't want to leave myself short-sided. That's a good way to get a double bogey. So I'm going to think about the whole area of, all right, where am I aiming? I'm aiming past the flag, which is past 160. Which club with a smooth, non-too aggressive tempo will get there? And that'll be my 8-iron. If you find yourself needing to swing extra hard and you're falling off balance after your swing, you probably need to club up and swing a little bit easier. And that's what this is good for. A little off the toe, but we're good. And that's why you aim for the fat part of the green, because if you hit a bad shot where the club contact is not good, it was right here, well, I pulled it, well, I mean, I pushed it, and now we're still on the green because I aimed for the fat part of the green. By clubbing up, being a little bit longer, even if I hit it left, we have a long chip, so we can let it run. If I push it like I did, a better putt. The bad place to hit here would be short-sided, because being short-sided is very hard to chip with. So we always want to try to not be short-sided, which is why she says amateurs and her aim for the fat part of the green. You avoid short side, you'll avoid double bogeys and triples, unless you're me, of course, today. Is that too hard? No, it's not. Okay. Take the par, we get out of here. Get out of here, fly. Boy, I'm sweating. So this is a good example of where I'm taking in previous information with my driver. If I pull it left, we're safe. If I play my little fade, we're fine. So I'm just going to hit my driver, swing normal, and do the fade that I have been practicing. Just like that. That is perfect. I don't know what happened there. Still, we're not short-sided, so we can get a little bit of running in this. We should have a pretty simple chip. Oh, I took a bad first bounce. Sometimes it's good to hit a second shot just to tell yourself that, hey, I can do it. That would have been a much better shot. But instead, I hit right here, and it just kind of bounced straight up. It bounced backwards a little. So while we're on this final hole, let's start talking about the grade of this. Because there are a few things that I do think we should take into consideration as the amateur golfer. What the fuck was that? All right, so let's discuss playing like Jin Young Ko. Is her style compatible with us, the amateur average golfer? First, let's talk about some of the rules that we established for ourselves, such as the 3/4 swing. Now, throughout the round, even though I was pulling shots and pushing shots, I will say the 3/4 swing always maintaining your balance did feel really good. I think for most amateurs, is going to be something that they can incorporate into their routine. Look at that, that was beautiful. I did find the center of the face most of the time. It's just that face was pointing to the left or to the right. That's just one of those days, that's golf. But I do think if you struggle with making good contact with the ball, well, the 3/4 swing and always really trying to maintain your balance through the swing and your finish, I think that's a great way for you to make better contact with the ball, which most of us need. So in that regards, I think that is an A. That rule, 3/4 swing, always stay balanced, that's an A. The course management side of things, such as aiming for the fat part of the green, let's talk about that one. That's one half. So aiming for the fat part of the green is probably a very important skill. If you notice throughout the round, I never really left myself short-sighted. I don't think I left myself short-sighted once, which is good. A short-sighted shot is a guaranteed way for us to make it bogey or more. So the reason for that is, if you remember, leaving yourself short-sighted is going to leave you with a much tougher chip, and our short games aren't that good. The pros even have a difficult time with leaving yourself short-sighted. Us, you and I, what hope do we have? So I think that is an A for the idea. The execution of it is very hard because we don't get many green in regulations, but that's why it's an A, because if we don't get many green in regulations, we probably want to leave ourselves in the best spot possible as opposed to pin chasing and then leaving yourself short-sighted. You don't want to do that. In regards to the course management side of things, I do think that's all. She didn't really speak too much about course management and the ideas behind her, but with the idea of laying up if you need to, or not being overly aggressive, and definitely not hitting any club that could go into an OB area, well, that's probably a good way to eliminate any blow-up holes, which most of us need, because most people, they just walk out, hit driver, have a two-way miss, and then they get a blow-up, right? So I do think that is an A, maybe a B, simply for the matter that we don't have more information on how she would tell us amateurs to play, but thinking about, all right, well, where is the bogey, double bogey, triple bogey going to happen on this shot is a good way to eliminate the difficulty of it. Well, the difficulty of it is hard to put down. It's hard to grade. And that's for the simple matter that putting a grade on it kind of falls into my own abilities. So let's say the difficulty of it is probably maybe also a B. And simply for the fact that once you get around the green, well, our green regulations are obviously not going to be pro level, which is fine. But our green regulations are going to be focusing on how do we try to get more of them? And by aiming for the fat part of the green, we will get more of them. But for us amateurs, there are many things that get in the way of us and the green. So I will say that it is something that will probably become like a foundation of your game as opposed to a way that you can approach, you know, a specific golf course or something like that. And it's more of like a foundation that you build your game off of. So with that regard, I do think it probably takes a little bit more time and practice to really implement it, which is why I give it a B. I think if you practice it, it has the potential to be like an A. Obviously, it works for her, it would work for us to a lesser degree. So if you practice and you have time to commit to actually understanding where to aim and you think about these things and slow things down a little bit, I think it's an A. But I think just taking it and putting it into play is probably more of a B, because there are things that you need to actively focus on, which a lot more amateurs are not very good at actively focusing on things. So with regards to that, overall, I would say it's probably like a B+. That was the episode. Comment below who you want me to test their style out next if you have an idea.